Hi there, and welcome to This Day in History for January 6th.
January 6th is the sixth day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, with 359 days remaining until the end of the year. In most years, 360 days remaining,
if it's a leap year. Today's word is blellum. Blellum is a noun that means an idle, talkative person. We think this word is a blend of Scottish blebber, which means to babble, and skellum, which means rascal. Earliest documented use, 1790, Blellum. And with that,
on this day in 1412, Joan of Arc was born. She lived only 19 years, but she would become a Roman Catholic saint and a national hero for France. In 1777, George Washington set up winter quarters in Morristown, New Jersey. On January 6th of 1798, frontiersman and trapper Jedediah Smith was born in Bainbridge, New York. Jedediah lived through dozens of narrow escapes on his intrepid journeys and decided to retire from this dangerous trade in 1830 and enter the mercantile business. Ironically, being a trader proved more deadly than exploring. While leading a trading caravan along the Santa Fe Trail in 1831, Smith was killed by Comanche Indians near the Cimarron River. He was 32 years old. On January 6 of 1838, Samuel Morse's telegraph system was demonstrated for the first time at the Speedwell Iron Works in Morristown, New Jersey. The telegraph, as you may know, is a device which uses electric impulses to transmit encoded messages over a wire, and this would eventually revolutionize long-distance communication, reaching the height of its popularity in the 1920s and 30s. On January 6th of 1912, New Mexico was admitted into the United States as the 47th state. In 1919, Theodore Roosevelt died. He was the 26th president of the United States. He died at Sagamore Hill, his estate overlooking New York's Long Island Sound. He was a dynamic and energetic politician. Theodore Roosevelt is credited with creating the modern presidency. On this date in 1941, Franklin D. Roosevelt, hoping to move Congress from a position of neutrality and rally public support for the United States to take a stronger interventionist role, insisted that people in all nations of the world shared Americans' entitlement to four freedoms: the freedom of speech and expression, the freedom to worship God in his own way, freedom from want, and freedom from fear.
Hello Goodbye is a song by the Beatles, written by Paul McCartney, as a word association exercise, a little brainstorming session. Credited to the Lennon-McCartney team, as all their songs were, it was recorded in October and November of 1967 and released in November of 1967. Interesting to note that this was the first release after the death of their manager, Brian Epstein. Hello Goodbye was commercially successful around the world, hitting that #1 spot on the Billboard Hot 100 the last week of December 1967, where it held for 3 weeks. We find it beginning week 2 of that run on January 6, 1968. Hello Goodbye by the Beatles. Link in the description.
And I think that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with the link in your email, messaging, or social media. If you enjoy this series, you can check out the playlist that contains these videos. I'll put a link to that in the description. That description lives on YouTube, so for other platforms, I'll include the link to my blog page that is called No Really. You can also find me on Rumble, Parler, BitChute, and Getter. All those links in that description. Alrighty, that's all I can think of right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.
I have an extra word in there. January 2nd.
Alrighty. Back to work.
Do that one again.
There's a little birdie on my front porch.